Introduce yourself. Tell me who you are, like with your name.
I am Christina Kirkpatrick.
Yep.
I'm from Waynesville, North Carolina.
Yep.
I've been here for 51 years.
Nice.
And I have 3 children, 2 boys, 1 girl. I have 4 grandkids.
Nice.
So I'm a Mimi.
Great.
Yes. So they all just come over and visit, and then I can send them home.
That's a good time.
With a yoga mat, though,
Yeah.
of course.
That's great. That's great.
Yes.
So it sounds like you've lived in the area all your life, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
born and raised. Would you find yourself ever wanting to move?
Well, I moved in 1989 to Charleston.
Okay.
Lived there for 2 years on Lake
Okay.
Moultrie, but I missed home, so we
Right
came
on.
back. So I've been
Okay.
here ever since.
Well, great. Well, you just got back from being in Charleston, didn't
Yes,
you? Yeah.
yes,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of like.
Hey, road
familiar.
trip. Hey,
Yeah.
somebody wants to go somewhere. Okay, I'll bring my bag.
That's awesome.
1 bag of shoes, 1 bag of clothes.
There you go. There you go. Ready to hit to it, man. That's awesome.
Yes.
But our first question is, what would you mind telling me about your experience with yoga, how it began? Yeah.
I've always been into fitness, like running, walking, hiking,
Yeah.
and Holly Henderson, who is also a yoga teacher for Les Mills and Gold's Gym, and she done the body pump. She says you need to do the yoga part of it.
Okay.
So I did the yoga part, and I really loved it. So then I started finding yoga classes. This is all, I started, my first class was probably in 2000.
Oh wow.
So it's been a while,
Okay.
and it always made me feel good. But the yoga classes that I went to, they weren't what is in the studio here, the connection,
Okay.
It's like I was doing yoga, but I wasn't feeling it.
Okay.
I didn't feel grounded.
Okay.
It was just like, okay, I need to stretch this because this hurts, my hip hurts, stuff like that.
So so if I understand you correctly, you weren't feeling the actual mind-body connection.
Correct.
Mostly just the body.
Yes, just the body.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Jay started doing a class at Hazelwood Soap Company for $5. I said, best $5 I've ever spent. Do yoga in a little shop.
Uh-huh.
And then whenever I found out that she was, doing more classes at Fitness Center, I started going to her classes. And if someone else was teaching, I would be like, okay, not today. I'll come back when she's here.
Absolutely.
Which I shouldn't do.
Yeah, that's okay.
And then whenever she opened the studio, my daughter's like, oh, let's try the studio. They have a special. We started with a special. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also a student at South College going back to school after 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Really stressed, schools.
Yeah.
Schools like that.
Yes, it is. It is.
Especially if you don't know what word is. What's word? I need a laptop? What's that?
What's that? Absolutely, yeah.
Because I've had a clean business for 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so Hannah's like, you need to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter's always been the biggest influencer,
Awesome.
And my kids, everyone was like, Mom, you can do it, whatever you want to do, you do it.
That's awesome.
So I went back to school, and so that's whenever we started coming here.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I was really able to do really good in school because my first semester I had like a 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I finished, because I was coming to yoga regular, I had a 4.0 when I graduated.
Oh, my friend.
Yes.
That is awesome.
So I feel like it really helped develop my brain power,
Uh-huh.
because I felt grounded.
Wow.
After doing yoga.
That's quite a testimony. That's awesome to actually get into the schooling there and the college aspect of it, and all the suffering the slings, to quote a little bit of Shakespeare there, and you actually feel the outcome of it. That's awesome, and you got to see the improvement in the numbers.
Yes,
Wow.
because I was like, I was so stressed, and Hannah's seen it.
Mm-hmm.
She would say something to me, and I'd just bite her head off.
Yeah.
And that's not me.
Yeah.
That's not me. I just wasn't a good person at the time. I was a good person, but I would, just the little things, so I just mellowed out. So now Hannah say something, I said, let that shit go. It ain't gonna matter 100 years from now. Don't worry about it. There's a yoga pose for that.
Oh, I love it.
And even like my grandkids and stuff, because my son, he had a brain injury, and so his son ended up with PTSD and trauma. And so with that trauma, if I didn't have yoga, I couldn't have functioned of going to school, being a mom, being a Mimi, doing everyday life.
Yeah.
And I feel that the studio had connection to everybody's like, yes, Christy, you're great, you're doing good,
That's awesome.
And everybody, all the teachers like, oh, I'm so glad to see you. And I'm like, yes, I feel good, I love it when someone's like, oh, I'm glad to see you.
Right?
It's when they're like, if they see you coming, oh God, I'm leaving.
It's about that time.
Oh, I forgot something in my car and then drive away.
Oh, wow. Again, it's just a wonderful testimony that putting that forth. So, like, I noticed as you were talking about that, like just being of course, working from a deficit, right?
Yes.
Of the school and all the different roles,
yes.
And so you were in a very reactionary state.
Yes.
Well, the yoga put you in a little bit more responsive, right?
Yes, yeah. So when my fight or flight come about, I was able to bring it down, and and then I feel yoga incorporates. Like I incorporate in my practice, I'm also an occupational therapy assistant. I incorporate the PNF patterns, especially with people that
you unpack that a little bit. The PNF, what is that?
PNF patterns where you cross the midline.
Yes. Okay.
And you're able to move your hand across in order for one side of the body to connect with the other, your brain. And it also helps with Alzheimer's and dementia prevention because you're using both sides of your brain. Like if you're moving one foot and one arm on opposite sides, you're really connecting what your body's supposed to do.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That makes
great.
that makes the biggest difference because you can give someone a hand weight or a TheraBand or a exercise, and if they don't know what to do with it and they're not doing it properly, it could injure them worse. And then they won't be able to brush their teeth, comb their hair, put their shoes on, bend over, just the basic stuff that we take for granted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as I don't recall if we got this on video, but we were just talking about using some of the heated pads or whatever, trying to get people's shoulders to come down as they're laying on their back.
Yes.
Like, have you ever done any of the midline crossover to get that kind of neurological calming?
It depends on the patient, if it's in their goals.
Okay, right
Yes,
on.
it has to be in their goals. If it's not in their goals, you're wasting your time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But when you do
that, you put the hit like a heating pad, or even like the breath, doing a breathing, pursed-lip breathing, where you breathe in like you're smelling the roses, and then breathe out like you're trying to keep a candle flickering, and then you have them make sure they feel it in their belly, expanding their belly, and then it warms their body up too, and it keeps them feeling a lot better, and then they're able to relax. But they mostly do that when they're laying down, and then you just lay back.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But I mean, I guess more pointedly, my question is just the crossing of the midline. What I've read, that helps you calm as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Cross the midline does it releases your fight or flight, too.
Absolutely.
It's like because our bodies can overstimulate, and then that's why some people have anxiety because their fight or flight is here, and they can't bring it down here, and so then their whole body's just going chaotic and screaming.
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating that you've I'm floored with the amount of what's the words? I'm speechless over it. That's just awesome. How much you were able to use your yoga practice, and how it bolstered you and it gave you balance. I mean, because it's not just about standing on your left foot or your right foot. It's everything wrapped up into it, right?
Yes, because I still fall over. I'll go into tree pose, and there goes my tree in the wind. Woo! Crash and burn.
Absolutely, but you get back up.
Yes.
Right? Every time. Absolutely. That's great. I love it. So what are your favorite styles of yoga / classes?
I like the ones that will challenge me.
Okay.
You know, and I also like the meditation part. You know, the restorative, where you just lay there and do nothing.
Yeah.
But my favorite's like going into plank pose and
Right on.
you know, doing stuff that I feel really powerful.
Yeah.
It shows the strong side of me.
Right on. So like, whenever you go into a plank pose, can you unpack, like, do you have like a little checklist that you go through your head as you're in your plank pose, or?
So I just like, you know, my shoulders, make sure my hands are, you know, it's hard to explain it.
Sure.
Virtually. So make sure my back is flat, that my butt's not up in the air. You know, my legs are strong. My sometimes I have to go to my forearms. That when I do, you know, holding your arms and they're, you know, your shoulders and arms are both lined up, and then you're able to just, you know, wow, you know, you're holding this body up.
Right.
You know, you've got this body and you're holding it up, and you know, you're making sure you're not doing nothing that's going to tear a muscle or damage it, and you feel like you're on your own mountain and you're grounded with all four limbs.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I was just curious because I know that in my practice, like, even as I teach, like, I have this weird, like, checklist that I go through. It's like, where am I?
Yeah, it's where your body is in space.
Exactly. So that's awesome just to hear your words and how you unpack that. Because I feel like all the people that I have been talking with about this very subject is we all tend to have that. We eventually get to that place where we have the checklist and where our body is and importance, you know. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not, you know, because you can get hurt in plank pose if you're like your butt is straight up in the air and you're putting pressure on your lower back. And then if you do feel pain, drop to your knees, you know, modify it. Like,
that's right.
If a day that I'm not feeling strong, I'd go to my knees, always.
Absolutely. Well, see, I'm glad that you brought up the modifications, either to the knees and you say you go to your forearms sometimes, because your wrist can start barking at you a little bit, you know. That's great. I'm so glad you brought that up, because again, there's so many people who are like, well, they get into that rigidity.
Yes, that you have to be perfect and you have to do it. That's why there's props and there's modifications. And like, you know, if my body's like, oh, I love this. And then if it's like, I hate this, you better do something different or I'm going to crash and burn on you.
That's right. That's good. Well, I mean, as a percentage, like scale 1 to 10, 10 being the most, like how much of your yoga practice is really just reading your body? It's kind of a trick question, you know.
I'd say 80%.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, 20% is like, what the heck am I doing here? Should I not be at home? Should I be somewhere having a cold beer? Oh, that's Friday nights at Jake's and Jim's. So I look at, you know, like when I'm doing something that's really hard, I'm like, okay, so like when we were doing the weights this past week, you know, it was really hard. I said, but wait. Fridays there's Jake's and Jams, and I said, so I'm looking forward, so it gives my body something looking forward to. You know, I get the yoga plus I get the cocktail.
There you go. That's awesome. That's
so
good.
Take your mind just a little, you know, or take your mind like something to get out of the discomfort, you know, because sometimes trying to balance and lift a weight at the same time, that's really hard. And so you're also doing the mind and body connection, plus you're doing opposite sides of your body.
Yep.
So
yeah, asking a lot in a very healthy way.
Yes.
That's one of the things in the practice as I've been teaching, is like just trying to bring the students to that understand that yes, you are under stress, but it's positive stress.
Yes.
And trying to give that, like, you know, that kind of staple of like, or that grounding of like, now when you get into the negative stress, reference now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Whether is it pain or is it discomfort?
There you go.
If it's discomfort, you can work through it. If it's pain, you better stop it. Like right now.
See, a little bit of the mama came out now. You better stop. I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? I'm sorry. That was good. Let's see here. So another part of the question is, so what do you do when you're not practicing yoga?
What am I not doing?
Yeah. What do you do when you're not practicing yoga?
So I also have a Harley. I love to ride motorcycles.
Yeah.
And I'll ride any motorcycle. You'll say, hey, Chris, you want to ride my motorcycle? I'm like, yeah. But I have a Street Bob 2014.
Nice.
Cherry red.
Nice.
And I love handling curves. I love going on a mountain and, you know, just not knowing where you're going to end up. And did you know motorcycles come with a group of people? Like every time you go somewhere, you meet a new group of people. Just one motorcycle.
That's good. I like that.
Let's see, I love to be outdoors. I like exercise. I like weightlifting. I love spending time with my family. I love food. I love to eat. And I try to eat good choices, so I've got that 80%, 80-20 rule. Okay. You know, if I need a cupcake, I'm that 20%, I'm gonna eat that cupcake.
I love it.
You know, because you're going to do more harm to your body if you deprive of things that you really love to eat. Yeah. You know, in moderation, it's fine, but you know, you're going to have the anxiety. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to die because I want to eat that cupcake. And I love to roller skate. My kids, we've always, ever since they were little, we roller skate. I'm an Aquarius, so I love the water, so I'll go on a beach trip.
Nice.
You know, we've traveled quite a bit. We've been to Aruba. Cool. We've had the kids on cruises. So what else? We have a place at Lake James that we love to go camping. But it's glamping because we're in a camper.
Nice.
But it's, you know, it's a great place. We've met a lot of friends there. You know, we're on the lake, either kayak and paddleboarding is my favorite on the lake.
Very cool.
Let's see, what else do we do? We just do it. Carol's like, I'm going to raise up the white flag today. He's like, you never slow down. Are you ever going to slow
down? About your motorcycle, do you have a name for your motorcycle?
I really don't.
Yeah?
No,
okay.
I really don't. Some people do. Yeah, but this is a funny story though, you know, getting off subject.
What's funny?
Is my son's dad just recently passed away. And so someone brought my grandson a fish in a plant or whatever. And so I do have a name for the fish. We call it Jeff. Because he passed away. That was just on my mind. I had to share that funny story. So we come in and Carol goes, I fed Jeff today. So I told my son, I said, y'all need to come get your fish. Because I'm tired of feeding your daddy.
I love it. I love that graveyard humor. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
So do you have any stories on, like when you're riding a motorcycle, like a close call that you wouldn't mind sharing?
Let's see. I've had quite a few. I went over top of my motorcycle.
Oh, wow.
Because, got up, got back on it, and we went on.
Awesome.
I went across Hot Springs, and we were riding across, and I guess it was just bad weather and stuff. So it was like raining, and then it started hailing, so I started pulling over trying to find a place. And then it calmed down a little bit, and I went probably almost to Max Patch. I got hit by a blackbird right smack in the head.
That's horrible.
And then we were going across Cherokee once, and a bee hits my helmet. And so whenever it hits my helmet, it falls down. And so I'm on my motorcycle, and I was like, ow! Ow! It had stung me in the downstairs. And we did 130 miles. So we stop and pull over. And our friend, his name is Johnny Mack. And he's like, oh my God, you got stung in the downstairs. He's like, here, you want my cigarette?
Oh, that's a bummer.
So you never know on a motorcycle.
You really don't.
What's going to happen.
You really don't. I mean, I've been hit by a couple of June bugs. You know, thankfully that's all under. I don't think you have to pay me quite a bit to get back on my motorcycle. I get too much in my head and it's frightening. It's just too frightening to me. But I mean, I've never felt more alive in that aspect of being on, riding a motorcycle.
Yeah, you have to watch everybody else.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And my grandpa, he's the one that got me to motorcycles, and he said, Jake, you got to treat it like you're in a football game. You got the ball, everybody wants to hit you.
Yes.
You know? Yes. And that's, and I drive like that in my vehicle, but I love having all that metal around me, to protect little old Jake,
And it's just the sound, and it's you, and you've got that, that big machine, and then you're just riding, and it's just so peaceful.
Yes.
Unless you're riding with my friend Richard, who passed away recently this past, he only knew one speed, 95 miles an hour. And so we would go on the interstate going way too fast. And I was like, my motorcycle does not sound right when we go that fast.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah. So I was like, stop and enjoy it. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, when you go that fast, so your tires are like, let's say your tires are that wide.
Yes.
When you go 95, they shrink.
Yes.
They shrink.
I know, and you're going,
no.
But.
No, thank you.
Yes.
No, thank you. But you got my respect. You really, really do for that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Let's see here. So tell me something funny or unexpected about you.
Unexpected, well, the motorcycle thing. A lot of people don't realize I ride a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Spontaneous.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I speak Appalachianese or hey Woody.
Okay. Give me a couple of examples.
Because it takes us 30 minutes to say hi. Like, how are you? How's your mom and dad? So you're spending 30 minutes still at the store. We were doing the yoga teacher training, and we were all sitting, and I am serious. I really thought that's what it was called. When you sit down into yoga pose, it's sit on your sits bones.
Okay.
I said, let's sit on our shits bones. Because I really thought that's what we were saying.
Makes
sit
sense.
on your shits bones.
That's the factory where it comes from, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And a lot of people don't know I do mud runs. I love doing mud runs.
Yeah.
Sort of. It's like running 3 or 4 miles through the woods. Doing like army crawls, jumping over
fire.
Yeah, going through the creeks. Yeah, running over, jumping over fire. Creeks, getting muddy, like covered in pure mud.
Yeah. Now, are those also the ones where like they have like little electrical things that you run through?
No,
you don't do those,
didn't.
but
No,
they do have those.
Yeah, they do have those. I would go around that.
Right on.
And once we were doing one of the Goodwill mud runs, which had like 36 obstacles, and one of them was a dead man's carry. Mm-hmm. So I was on one end and my son was on the other end, and we had to carry this Marine that was about 250, solid muscle. Like from this point to, pretty far. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm going to drop you. I'm going to drop you. Guess what?
What?
I dropped his eyes on the floor. And so we picked him back up and, we did our thing, and so that's what me and my son do a lot together is the mud runs, and then we like to do disc golf. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Outside, and you're supposed to get all your hips into it, especially when you're throwing.
They have like different size discs and like
yes. So you have a putter, you have a driver. It's just like golf, but with frisbee, and you can do it in the woods. You can do it. They have all different courses now. It's real challenging and fun at the same time.
I just remember the first time that. The frisbee golf thing came up. I didn't know that they had courses, but they had like frisbee ranges. Yeah. Like a golf range where you try to go out 50 yards.
Like there's little baskets.
But everyone was on the line, and that was the first time I saw that. I think I was in Oklahoma when I saw that. Okay. This will never stick.
It did. People are making money doing it.
Horrible about that. So as far as like you're, if you don't mind me asking about the yoga teacher training.
Yes.
So what, you're like about a month or 2 into it now?
No, 60 hours.
60 hours, okay, 60 hours into it, okay.
So October we should finish.
Okay, all right. So at this point in time, is there anything new that you've learned? It could be a very big question, but...
The breathing techniques into the pose, just really concentrating on getting that part. You've got your cooling breath, you got your warming breath, and and like if you get like overwhelmed or really really hot, you can do the cooling breath, And I didn't realize that was considered cooling.
Okay.
And there's just so much information, and the yoga teacher training is not as scary now, it's like you go into it and like, what the hell have I got myself into?
Right.
But it's been, there's just so much that we've learned, and I feel more confident, if I have to teach a class. Mm-hmm. And the good thing is Hannah and I are doing it together, my daughter, and and she's so smart, and she's going to be an awesome yoga teacher. Yeah, she's going to be, good, and she just, takes it all in. So right now we're just taking all this information in and, and enjoying it.
Good.
Not like, you know, it's not like the school that you would think. But, you know, just with the anatomy and everything, you know, we're making sure when you do this pose, what body part are you using? What muscle is it going to take to get from A to B? Which is, you know, really interesting, because when usually you do yoga, you're just going into the pose. You're not thinking, well, I'm using this, I'm using that. You know, you're using your humerus, you're using, you know, all the different bones and muscles in your body. So I think that's really exciting about learning more and more about the function of it.
The how and the why.
Yes, and why we're doing it, and if we're grounded when we're doing it.
Well, talk about that a little bit more. Like we have touched on that idea of being grounded in it, but I mean, is there more of a highlight now of your grounding process?
Well, the grounding, that you're really connecting to your body whenever you're doing yoga.
Okay.
You know, it's not like something, you know, holy. It's just something that your body is, you know, it's, how would I explain it? You're grounded. You feel like when you're doing a pose, you're doing something beneficial for your body. You know, you're really like your feet are where they're supposed to be. They're lined up with your hips, your arms, everything. Like, for example, the mountain pose, making sure your hips are aligned, you know, and you're straight, you know, got a straight back, you know, and making sure you're standing properly.
Okay. Well, do you have a favorite pose?
The plank pose.
The plank pose, sorry. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But all of them is my favorites, really, you know, just doing the plank. And then I like challenging, like the crow pose. Like me and Hannah go somewhere and we're always challenging each other with that one.
That's a good one.
Or, you know, finding a place to do a tree pose, you know.
Have you been able to get, I can't remember the proper name, but it's a variation of the crow pose where you're down and you're tucked in, but you kick out a leg.
Oh, I haven't done that one yet, but Kayla showed it to us, and I just haven't got the, you know, I'll eventually grow into that pose.
There you go, there you go.
Or use a block and do it first time, yes.
That's right, good. So, I mean, coming to the end of the questions here, I mean, do you feel like there's anything else that you, like if you were to leave this interview, that once you got on the other side of the door, like, damn it, I should have said that. Do you feel like there's anything else that's on top of your heart?
I just love the community that we have here, and you know, and I just want so many more people, you know, to come. You know, it's like it would make you feel so good, even if it's one class a week. You know, it's so beneficial just to stop. It's self-care. And if you don't have self-care, then everything that you do outside, you know, it doesn't really feels like it doesn't matter.
Well, it's a domino effect.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, because you have to have balance. You know, you got your work, you know, you got your family and stuff, but you have to have your body self-care. If not, you can't do your work. You can't take care of your family.
It's. I think I've heard the analogy of like, you know, being on the plane and you know, not gas mask, but the oxygen mask drop down.
Yes.
You know, they always say, put the mask on yourself first.
Yes.
Then you can help the people around you.
Yes.
I find that is very applicable to your self-care.
Yes.
Every facet of your life. If you can put the oxygen mask on yourself first,
yes.
then you have enough.
Everybody, yes. Yeah. And if you can't do yoga in the studio, do it somewhere.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
YouTube has, you know, plenty, you know, if you feel like this isn't an option.
I'm with you.
Sorry.
You're fine. So time doesn't really matter at this point, but I mean, I think that's it, my friend. I don't know if there's anything else that you'd want to throw out there, or any other little anecdotes.
I'm just honored to be your student.
Oh, well, we're honored to have you. We are absolutely honored to have you, because I mean, when you enter the studio, your spirit is so noticeable, and when you're not there, that's noticeable as well. You know, and your dedication is amazing, and that's one of the other reasons why we wanted to showcase is for your dedication. And I really appreciate you sharing those aspects in your life of times that were very trying.
Oh yeah,
you know, and I know that it's just the tip of the iceberg, and I really appreciate you sharing that with us, because those benefits that you experience.
Because ask my daughter, you can say, she's like, Mom, you're so different now.
That's awesome.
And it was her idea to join the studio here, because I'm like, God, I don't know if I can afford that, you know, and stuff. So.
Well, it's been a pleasure with you today, and it's always a pleasure to spend time with you on the mat. and to laugh, to joke, and to just practice yoga. The classes just aren't the same without you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes,
and I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Yes,
it's so enjoyable to have you in class. It's so fun. So I can't think of anything else, but but thank you for your time.
Yes.